So I'm on my way to the grocery store to buy some stuff that I didn't buy yesterday and that I still need. I mean, immediate groceries. And when I'll be back at the apartment, I will surely continue with the Ziggurat of Ur series. I hope you're all excited and that I've given you I would say an interesting prelude and first chapter. Prelude and introduction, I should say. But I mean, following the non-linear presentation of the roots. Interestingly, it was actually the TV show Roots was referred. You know who referred to this TV series? Who referenced this TV series in a very, very funny way? Mordechai Vanunu in his interview 8 years ago to the night news, TV news. אז אתה לא יכול לברוח, כי הם קושרים אותך כמו קינטה קונטה. What an actor. Presumably, I mean, his only cultural reference are from the early 80s because, I mean, he was captured and stayed in isolation for 30 years. So, I mean, he only knows. So, and Roots, you remember Roots? I mean, at the time, it left quite an impact on at least American audiences. So, regarding the Roots saga, so I promise to continue with this in parallel to my sculptures. Throwing, it's called throwing, like to create things made out of clay, right? Not only the eggs, but I will also create an ashtray. It's one of the first things that I created like years ago. Like, I mean, when I started to work with art, maybe in my art career, and also a container made out of clay for the red, so we'll be able to put to create much brighter fires for the red containers, because this glass container, it's nice, but I'm afraid that it will just shatter any moment if I try to create larger fires, and also there is a problem with air supply. So we'll have actually a nice crucible made out of clay, and we'll continue the experiments that are at the same time they have the practical purpose of enlarging the Neros, which actually, you must agree. I guess that the viewers agree that it's a very promising actually research path. We had quite success during the last couple of days. But also, as always, there is, at the same time, there is this, what I call the symbolic purpose, which is, it's not symbolic. It's symbolic because it simulates something, but it has, the effects, are not symbolic at all. They are real effects on using the bicycle mechanism on real people that ate the Neros that they shouldn't have eaten. But actually, if you're new to this channel, or relatively new, this was always, since the beginning, it was always like that. The same construction of containers is used both for, concrete research, like parameters or research objectives, but also for symbolic reasons. And this symbolism is, many times it's actually, it's kind of like it's dual-headed, because it's kind of like, one symbolism is the symbolism of the bicycle, which is, as I said, is very practical. It's not symbolic. It's not theoretical. It's practical. But there is also and more abstract, many times you see more abstract symbolism that relates to the culture of Venus, or to abstract physics issues like the energy transfer. So yeah, that's the way it always have been. Following the non-linear representation of events, I want to put something on the table for the audience to think about. And I hope you wouldn't find it too condescending that I just say something and do not elaborate, at least not in a moment. Maybe I allow myself to believe that my audience, by now, even if they are pretty new to the channel and they only seen the bicycle saga, it's enough for them to actually give me some allowance, like to give me some credit, I mean, with regards to dramatic, display of events. Maybe not, but I mean, that's how I like to imagine the situation. So I will put something on the table just for you to think about. When you say that someone is not bipolar, is it good or bad? And when you say that he's narcissistic, what does it mean? I mean, it could mean that he's the king or queen of the swamp. And when you say that he's antisocial, I mean, if you've ever watched this channel, I mean, is there a higher praise to say to someone that is antisocial in Israel? And when you say that he has the histrionic disorder of always pretending that he's on some kind of a stage. Now, mostly the people that are always on stage, or that they like to think of themselves as people that are as like never-ending actors, and we have a lot of these like all around us in Israel, are people without other skills. That's their skill, manipulation and pretense. And they cannot imagine any other way of sustenance because they are not productive people. They have nothing to offer to humanity or to anyone. So, I mean, they are part of the intelligence community and they are always on a stage. But if a person, he or she, a very high IQ, very high moral of work ethics, tremendous education, and proof of like successful professional experience in highly demanding works. So if these people, a man or a woman, are condemned to a life on stage, is it to their benefit? In what way is it to their benefit? These people could have, like, if they have lived like in another country, in another place, in another time, but most certainly in another country, they could have been very successful men and women just because of their ethics and hard work and intelligence and skills, education, etc., etc. If they live their life on a stage, that's because they are condemned to it. This is a curse. This is a torture, a never-ending torture that, of course, is mandated by this cruel totalitarian state of Israel. But I will just leave it on the table, and again, we will start from the beginning, from the 1920s, Yanina. The ridiculous neighbors are, just before I left for the grocery tour, they played the mandolin of Captain Corelli music. Maybe they think that that's the way it was in Yanina, in the Yanina in 1920s. They all played the mandolin of Captain Corelli and live like, no, it wasn't like that, no, this is not life. No, my subject matter is always reality.